Today we're diving into the inspiring journey of Genesis 12 to 50, focusing on God's covenant with Abraham and the promise of a coming Savior. Discover the beginning phase of God's beautiful plan to reconcile humanity to Him for eternity. Genesis is split into two main parts. The first part tells us about humanity's fall from grace. It starts with Adam and Eve in Eden, where they make a choice that changes everything. From there, we see a downward spiral. Cain killed Abel, Noah's Ark and the flood, and eventually the Tower of Babel. Each story showcases humanity's tendency to choose evil. But Genesis isn't just about the fall, it's about hope and restoration too. And that's where the second part comes in, the story of Abraham and his family. After the Tower of Babel, a genealogy connects us to God's chosen man, Abram, who later becomes Abraham. God promises Abraham countless descendants like the stars, and through his seed, all nations will be blessed. This is the start of God's plan to restore humanity. Now, Abraham's family is far from perfect. Abraham himself makes some pretty questionable decisions, like lying that his wife Sarah is his sister, out of fear for his own life. Sarah, desperate for a son, has Abraham sleep with her servant Hagar and gave birth to Ishmael. It's messy, it's human, and it's real. Yet despite the flaws and failures, God remains faithful to his covenant promise. At 100 years old, Abraham receives the promised son Isaac, a miraculous sign that God's covenant stands. Later, God tests Abraham's faith by asking him to sacrifice Isaac, but provides a ram in his place, a powerful foreshadowing of the ultimate sacrifice of Christ. Though Abraham wasn't perfect, God chose him because of his deep faith and obedience, using his imperfect story to unfold his perfect plan. When Isaac grew up, he married Rebekah, the wife God had chosen for him, and together they had twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Jacob, the younger twin, deceived his blind father Isaac into giving him the blessing meant for Esau, a birthright that gave him leadership over the family and God's covenant promise. Fearing Esau's anger, Jacob fled to his uncle Laban's house in Haran. Here, Jacob faced his own deception, working 7 years to marry Rachel, only to be tricked into marrying her sister Leah. He eventually married both sisters and had children through them and their servants, leading to a large, complicated family. Over time, Jacob fathered 12 sons who would become the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. His favorite was Joseph, the firstborn son of his beloved wife Rachel. Out of jealousy, Jacob's other sons sold Joseph into slavery in Egypt and lied to their father, making him believe Joseph was dead. But here's where it gets amazing. Despite all the dysfunctions, God's plan prevails. Joseph's moral purity and unwavering faith gained God's favor and rose from slavery to become Egypt's second in command by interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, ultimately saving many lives, including the brothers who once betrayed him. During a severe famine, his brothers come to Joseph in Egypt for help, not knowing who he is. Instead of seeking revenge, Joseph saves them, reconciles with his father Jacob, and turning his brother's evil act into an ultimate good for all. The overarching message of Genesis is clear. Humans keep falling into sin and disobey God, but God is faithful to keep his covenant, using this Abraham's lineage to bring about the promise of a savior. God's ultimate plan is to restore mankind to him for eternity. So that's the book of Genesis. But we still don't know how exactly God's going to use this family to bring humanity back to the garden-like existence, creating a new heaven and a new earth where righteousness and peace reign. However, this is just the first book, so that's what the rest of the Bible sets out to answer. So whether you're new to these stories or know them by heart, Genesis reminds us of God's relentless pursuit to reconcile mankind to himself for eternity. These themes echo throughout the rest of the Bible. To find out how God's redemption plan unfolds, see you in the next book of the Bible, which is Exodus. If this video helps deepen your understanding or brings clarity to your spiritual journey, please like, subscribe, and share this video. See you in the next video.